Where did you start with this? Where did you start with your PhD? How did you come into it?
How did I come into my PhD? So as a child, I was always the kind of person that was absolutely loved dinosaurs. I was crazy about dinosaurs. That's the only thing that, my people would try and give me Barbie and Ken dolls. They ended up as cannon fodder for the dinosaurs, pretty much. That was pretty much what happened to them.
Sounds
So
fair.
so ever since I was a child, I absolutely loved dinosaurs. So when I went to university, I did geology because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and through that I had a paleontology course, which I absolutely loved. So from there, I then went into my master's, which was in paleontology, and in my master's I studied birds, which
Hmm.
are dinosaurs. FYI, like birds are dinosaurs.
Fair enough,
Um,
yes.
so yeah, then from there, I decided, yeah, that I actually really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy my research. So I'm going to continue on and I will continue studying birds. And so this is what I'm doing in my PhD. So my
Okay.
PhD is basically looking at really, really ancient birds from like 50 odd million years ago. And I look to see how the climate change that happened at that point in time
Yeah.
affected how birds adapted and affected like their evolution. So basically, how did we get to the way birds are today? Did climate change in the past have an effect on this? And that's my PhD basically. And I'm kind of hoping to use this to kind of like predict maybe what might happen in the future, because obviously everyone knows that climate change is happening. Hopefully everyone knows that climate change is happening now. So we just kind of want to see what happened in the past with climate change and birds, what might happen in the future with climate change and birds. And yeah, that's just basically the whole premise of my PhD. So paleontology is the study of every single old animal, pretty much. And like I say, obviously dinosaurs are the really big thing, and that's what everyone assumes that people study. But there are like a whole load of animals all the way from like 500 million years ago when you had like spiders, pretty much. Like I know quite a few people who just study spiders. Some people study scorpions. Some people like studying fish. So like, there's a whole load of different things. Some people study like woolly mammoths or rhinos, or there's even humans. As in like humans, there's something called paleoanthropology, which is where people study really old humans, pretty much, and like old human skeletons, and try to figure out where we came from. So that is the whole study of paleontology: is that you study whatever animal you want in the past,
Okay.
pretty much.
So where are you studying currently? Where's your degree come from?
So I am studying at the University of Manchester.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, this is
exactly.
this is this is the wonder of technology now, isn't it?
Exactly. So before COVID-19 and before the lockdown and stuff, once a month I'd go up to Manchester pretty much for a week to say hi. Hello, I still exist. I'm still here. Um, but then other than that, I'd just be working from my home here in Essex.
Mm.
And yeah, every so often I might send an email to my supervisor updating him on what I'm doing. And yeah, that's pretty much how it's been working for the past 4 years.
How much stress has all of this, do you think, caused generally? Are you pretty sanguine about it when you know what you're doing, or is it a situation where you find yourself thinking, God, this is, I can't cope with this. This is too much. I need to. Do you get moments where you can't manage?
Absolutely, yes. There have been many a moment, especially in the past few months, where it has been extremely stressful. I mean, put it this way, a thesis is a good, sometimes like 400 pages long and like 90,000 words long, that kind of thing. It's an absolutely huge project to undertake. And I have most of it written up. Don't get me wrong, like I have, well, for most of it, there's a lot of editing and stuff left to do for it, and there's a lot of work and not a lot of time left to do, so that it is extremely stressful at the moment. And yeah, it's the kind of it's the thing that every PhD student goes through. Like this is, I spoke to my advisor about this. So my advisor, I have someone at the university who is there purely for my mental health, purely for like my relationship with my supervisor, that kind of thing. He's another academic himself, and he knows my supervisor, but he is there. He is supposed to be there just for mental health side of things, and to talk to him about like stresses. And he's basically said to me, yeah, this is this is standard, pretty much. Like what you're going through, everyone is going through. I went through it. Your supervisors went through it. Everyone goes through this thing, basically, where the PhD stress is crazy by the last few months. And Yeah, it's put it this way. I've already been, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but I've already been through therapy for my mental health issues. And that therapy has come in so handy, honestly. All of that, all the work that I've done with my therapist has been so useful at the moment. And that is basically how I'm getting through, pretty much, and how I feel as though my mental health is mostly intact at the moment. And I feel as though that's because I've already done like 3.5 years of therapy to get me to this point. But I know that talking to other students, that that is absolutely crazy. I mean, I believe, what was it? Like, I saw the statistic that was it 40% of graduate trainees suffer from like depression or anxiety or something like that. And that's just depression and anxiety. You know, there's a whole host of other mental health issues, but 40% of them suffer with that themselves. So yeah, it is quite a stressful time at the moment.
Your particular mental issue is something that I have an awful lot of interest in. I have, for probably my entire adult life, struggled with my own image and how I look and how that relates to what I eat. And this is one of the reasons why, when you came up in our little lottery, I was very pleased, because I'm interested to hear. And remember, you don't have to talk to anything about anything you
Yeah,
don't
no, of
want to talk
course.
about. This is not, if you feel uncomfortable, you just stop. That's not how this works. But binge eating is something that, when you say it, well, we all excessively do it from time to time. We all look at the cake, and now I've been with a cake and then there was no cake. And I think in that sense, you and I may have a little bit in common.
Mm.
Can you explain to me when you knew that you had a problem that you couldn't solve yourself?
So I've had, starting off with kind of like what binge eating disorder actually is, and like say as a simple thing. So binge eating disorder is actually quite a common issue with people, whereby you end up using food to cope with your emotions, and you do that in a sense that you will literally sit down and completely lose control around food and eat a good, sometimes like crazily enough, I personally, all binges look different between different people, but personally I'd sit down and eat a good 3,000 4,000 calories sometimes in one sitting. I would eat to the point where I felt sick, but in that moment you just completely switch off and you just don't think about it really. And I've had this disorder since I was around 15 or so. I'm 27 now, just as a reference. I've had this disorder for a while. And what's quite sad though about this is that a lot of people, it's almost normalized. I don't know if it's normalized or if it's like people just aren't aware of it, people don't know about it. Um, and it's one of those eating disorders that people just don't really know exist. I believe it was only about maybe 5-6 years ago that it was officially recognized as an eating disorder, for example. So there's a huge number of people that actually suffer from it, and I believe that the prevalence of binge eating is actually 3 to 4 times more than anorexia. But obviously anorexia is the one that people have heard of, whereas binge eating is kind of like that normalized thing of being like, as you said, yeah, everyone eats kind of like a little bit too much sometimes. So I went for a long time without actually knowing that I had an issue. The way that I found out that I had an issue was that I started to go into bulimia like tendencies as well. So that involved the purging pretty much. And for me, it was, well, not to give, for me, it was laxatives pretty much that I was using. And so that went into, so that's when it became into bulimia. That's when I realized, well, I didn't even realize that it was a problem at first. It was actually my partner. So my partner, thank you, he actually stepped in, took my laxatives away pretty much, and then said, this is stupid, you can't be doing this. This is like, it was at that point that even he realized that there's something seriously wrong here, that I needed help pretty much. And then it took him doing that. And at the time I was on a not going to give names, but on like a well-known weight loss program. And there was a lot of pressure to lose weight on that program. And yeah, a lot of pressure to lose weight on that program because he had like weekly meetings and weekly kind of like with loads of other people who were on the same program, and you're on. So there was a lot of pressure, and it was at that moment where I started purging as well to lose weight that, and all of the pressure was getting to me that I realized actually no, there is an issue here. So that is when I seeked out an eating disorder therapist, and the way that I did that was that I went through a website called Beat Eating Disorders, I believe it's called in full, and I took a look on there, found some advice, found some information about binge eating disorder, realized that, oh, this is a thing. And then then just looked to my local area. And fortunately, where I am here, there was, well, they've had to stop, unfortunately, because of COVID, but there was like an eating disorder therapist that I could see. And I saw them for a good 3.5 years. And actually, I only stopped a couple of months ago, really, because I no longer needed it. I'd gotten to the point where I am now mostly recovered. It's taken a long time to get to this point, but as you said before, though, it's quite nice. I now actually feel as though I'm a much stronger person for it. I now have the fortitude to deal with things, and I can deal with stress, for example, in my PhD. Like I might vent about it on Twitter and stuff, but I'm able to deal with it fairly well. Like, put it this way, I'm not going to food. I haven't had a binge in well over a year and a half now. Like I've been able to deal with it using other means, which has been been a massive thing for me, really, like, bearing in mind how long I've been doing it for. And it's been a long process, but it is possible to recover from it, and there are places that you can go to do it. And I believe that there is stuff on the NHS as well if people want to look into it. And yeah, I highly recommend doing it. And there should be no shame around it. It's just, it is what it is. Like the reason that it happened for me was that pressure to lose weight, and was that pressure to diet and look a certain way, and that's what caused the binge eating in the first place. It was like kind of my rebellion in a way, my way of dealing with the stress and pressure of it, that kind of thing. So but it is possible to recover, and it is possible to get past it, and that's really the message that I want to send to everyone.
Do you feel that the therapy and the help that you've got has really made a lasting change to your ability to actually deal with this?
Absolutely. I mean, I would not be here. What's quite nice, actually, is that I feel as though I have a better relationship with food and exercise and my body than most people. Weirdly enough, is like thanks to the therapy and thanks to that kind of thing. Isn't like just me comparing, isn't like saying myself and how I deal with food and how I deal with exercise compared to the people through the therapy. I feel as though I've gotten to a point where I have a pretty good outlook on these kinds of things, and that the only way that this has happened is through the therapy. Like I was in a position before where I was gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, that kind of thing. I was constantly in diets. I've done every diet under the sun, that kind of thing. That's where I was at. Now I am, what's quite nice is that right now I'm in the position where I am weight restoring, and weight restoring is where if you have an eating disorder, then you've learned how to engage in normal behaviors, then your weight will kind of like go to a normal kind of state, really. Isn't like, say, if you're anorexic and you're underweight, then as you eat more and as you learn that it's okay to eat more and you kind of like to engage in all behaviors, you will gain weight up to a healthy BMI. If you're a binge eater and you're obese, then you will also then you'll start to lose weight down to a healthy BMI. And I'm in that stage at the moment where I am losing weight and I am weight restoring. Where was I going with that? Oh dear. Yeah, so I'm in that state now where basically I'm in a good place, right? And that is down to the therapy, and that has been really, really helpful to me. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Anyone, seriously, if you were in my position where you're going up and down in the weight, dieting all the time, just stop doing it. Just go to a therapist. There's no shame in going to a therapist, especially go try see an eating disorder therapist, ideally, because they actually know how to deal with these things. Like there's no such thing as not being sick enough to see like a therapist or an eating disorder therapist. There's like, that is like complete and utter misconception. An eating disorder therapist will see anyone no matter what state they are in, pretty much. So like say, if you have an issue with food, they were there to help you.
I know why became a champion. I know the process that brought me here, but I don't know how you decided one day that we would end up meeting each other. So, I mean, did you see a flyer? Did it pop up on your social media? Did you think, is there something I can do? When you actually went and sought out the information, how did you come to become a champion?
So when I got to a point where I was quite in a good position with my own mental health, and I really wanted to kind of like share that with everyone, and I wanted to spread the word really, and I wanted to help others. Like I'm part of this like Facebook group and that kind of thing where there's other people who have binge eating, and I give like a lot of advice on there, like this is how I do it, this is what I have done, this is what my therapist has taught me, try this, that kind of thing. And I really found I actually really enjoyed giving that advice to people, and I really enjoyed, like, say, trying to use my experiences to help people, really. So then I started an Instagram page where I was doing that. Like on my Instagram page, I talk about this is what I have done to overcome binge eating. This is what my therapist has taught me. These are kind of like the different mindsets that I've had to adopt to help me, and this is what has helped me pretty much. And then from there, I was like, oh, I actually really enjoy doing this. It's been quite nice, like having people come to me and being like, this is actually really helpful. So I thought, oh, can I do some volunteering with this? This would be really cool. So I then took a look online for mental health volunteering, and it's through that, like just searching online, that I found Time to Change. And here we are.
Yes, here
pretty
we are.
much.
Do you feel that you've got now all the tools that you need to go forward and actually make a real difference?
I feel as though I can go and like try and help individual people. For example, I can talk to people and I can try and like impact them individually, basically is how I feel. Doing it on a larger scale is kind of a lot harder because due to lack of funding, it'd be nice, kind of like, that's the kind of problems that we're facing at the moment is due to lack of funding and mental health and that kind of thing. It's really hard to kind of like say campaign on like a nationwide scale and kind of like try to get to a lot of people. But I feel as though myself as an individual, I have faith that I can, like, say, go out. Maybe I'm overly optimistic, who knows? But I can go out and actually, like, I can talk to individuals. I can try and change their minds about mental health. I can try and change their minds about binge eating disorder. And also I can actually, maybe I can actually help people, like if people are in my position, for example, and didn't even realize that binge eating disorder was a thing, then talking to me they might actually click. It might actually click for them. They might realize, oh, this is a thing. Oh, I might be suffering from it too. Oh, maybe I can get help as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I really want, honestly. That's what I'm trying to get out there and do, is try and like spread the word and try and spread my experiences and try and use that to help others and to try and get them as well to a healthy state.